welcome to Mamamia Out Loud. It's what women are actually talking about on Friday, the 31st of October, which is Halloween, friends. It is Halloween today, and
Spooky.
we will do a little bit of talking about that later. I'm Holly Wainwright.
And I'm Em Burnham.
And I'm Jessie Stevens.
And on our agenda today,
there is a new fitness craze that has taken over my entire life. And no, I'm not exaggerating. It's on my Instagram. It's on my dating apps. I have no idea what's going on.
I can't wait to hear about it. I need to talk about a very specific Halloween tipping point that I'm living through in my house. And I've got a hack for saying nup when you absolutely cannot.
Oh.
And rawdogging boredom. I've got some feedback for all those 20-year-olds flexing about how long they can stare at a wall.
But first, Em.
So you might remember on Friday last week, we talked about celebrity relationships and how we feel connected to them and how some of those celebrity relationships can impact our relationships in real life. We discussed Victoria and David Beckham. I talked about Dua Lipa and Callum Turner and how they're so publicly obsessed with each other. And I said the line, I never want a nonchalant man. I want my man to be as chalant as possible.
It was one of Em's iconic lines.
You know what I said listening to that? I said preach.
Oh,
preach.
for sure.
Preach.
I loved it.
You know who didn't say preach? A lot of the others.
But you know what? That was more about the Callum and Dua thing, and that you were like, I want this and I want it for 30 years, looking into each other's eyes and laughing into each other's mouths. And a lot of Outlouders were like, Em.
I think they genuinely felt very, very concerned for me. However, I did get a few Outlouders come into my DM saying, hey, I'm too scared to post in the group.
Oh, that's so sad.
And I was like,
me.
post in the group. Like, everyone's against me. But they said a lot of them are in, and by a lot of them I mean 3 of them, are in long-term relationships for over 20 years and are still Dua Lipa and Callum Turner.
Oh, come on.
Come on. So I took some of that feedback on and I kind of revisited some of my past relationships and I kind of spiraled. Because
no.
I realized that a lot of the times where I've broken up with a partner I had at the time was because he never loved me loudly.
I love this loving loudly business.
It felt like a big catalyst for like the end of relationships. I remember I dated a guy and he hated PDA. Like he didn't even like to hold hands. He would give like weird side hugs. He loved a high five in public.
no.
He loved a high five. And it kind of in my head, I couldn't figure out the different, like why he would be so intimate behind closed doors, but then feel like a platonic friend outside in the world. And it just made me convince myself that he just didn't like me and I couldn't handle that in a relationship.
You get to demand that someone loves you loudly.
You
I
do.
think you are absolutely spot on. I was reading in Cosmopolitan about how chalance, however we're going to say it.
Chalant.
Yes. Well, when I read it, in my head I say chalance, but I feel like we should say chalance. How it's the 6th love language. And if that is your love language, then let's not, especially let's be real, in heterosexual relationships, let's not accept this kind of apathetic, I don't really care, I'm not going to like, whether it's buying you gifts or holding your hand, I'm not going to do any of that. It made me think of, have you heard of the bird test?
Yes.
The bird test, and I think that this is what you mean, right?
Yeah.
There's like the kissing and looking lovingly into each other's eyes. But the bird test, we've talked about it on the show before. It's when you're standing in your kitchen with your partner and you say, wow, look at that bird. And it's about the level of enthusiasm they show to the bird. Do they look at it?
Or even if they look up from what
Yes.
they're doing.
I think Brent would go, wow, I think he's a bird man.
Oh, definitely.
And he would be very interested in the bird. And that says something about emotional connection and curiosity and interest.
Okay, I'm with you.
Yes.
And I'm very much on board with Em wanting to be loved loudly. I think there are like 2 different things at play here, right? Because the thing that I was kind of being maybe a little patronizing about last week, I'll own it, was the idea that limerence phase where you cannot keep your hands off each other in public has to last forever for a relationship to be real. I think that's what a lot of Outlouders were reacting to, right?
What is limerence?
So limerence is different from love because limerence is the physical obsession you have at the beginning of a relationship.
Like infatuation.
And some people are addicted to limerence, and it can be a red flag, cough, David Harbour, because It means that you are always pursuing that. You're always pursuing that. And when that naturally fades, because it does most of the time, that will fade and leave, hopefully in a good relationship, leave something
even better.
Solid and beautiful and even better in its wake. But that actual bit, that like, you can't walk past me without me wanting to touch you. I think about you all the time. I just want to say your name to my friends.
Yeah.
That's limerence. And if you're obsessed with limerence, it actually means you're always in pursuit of that. And serial cheaters are often obsessed with limerence. Sex addicts are often obsessed with limerence. Like,
what are you trying to say?
No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is that's one thing over here, right?
Yeah.
They're laughing in each other's mouths all the time. I'm not saying that is Callum and Dua. As we know, they both read books. We have a lot of hope for them and their love. But the thing is that particular thing is very specific.
Yeah.
But wanting to be loved loudly and have somebody like show up for you, absolutely. In fact, it made me think when we were talking about this, that whenever I listen to Sabrina Carpenter singing, and I love her and I think she's so clever, it makes me really sad about the standards that we're apparently young women are accepting. Because, you know, there's that song, the one about like, I get wet at the thought of you being a responsible guy.
Tears run down my thighs.
Yeah. And then she's like, her standards for the things that make her that excited are, you remember how to use your phone.
Yeah, you text me first.
And you treat me, not even that, just like you remember how to use your phone and you treat me like I'm a person with feelings. And I'm like, Sabrina, is this how little we can expect? And I reckon that's where you are, right?
That's the benchmark.
Going, chalant is somebody who will tell you they care. And absolutely you deserve chalants, my friend.
And you deserve a lot of it, especially early. I reckon that it's a mad red flag if you're with someone for even like, say, the first 6 months and there's no chalants. And I've been in that where it's like there's no effort, there's no excitement, there's no enthusiasm about you. Yeah. You just go, we need somewhere to fall. We need to get to a point where it's like there is nowhere to go but down from here in terms of like, yeah, maybe you don't have that you know, you can't sleep. It's so unsustainable, right? Because you can't sleep, you can't eat, you're so excited.
Yeah, and that's why situationship breakups hurt so much because you're breaking up while you're still in the chalance phase.
Yes.
Where everything about that person you're obsessed with. But I think what a lot of the Outlouders were arguing was that I want this for like the whole relationship. Like I don't just want it for the first phase, I want it forever. And they were like, you can't have that forever because that's not how normal relationships work.
I think what you want is effort.
Yeah.
You don't want, because you see sometimes long-term relationships where people treat each other worse than they would an acquaintance.
Absolutely. Like, and just in a dismissive way and an invisible way. And a lot of women break up long relationships over exactly that. They're like, I am invisible to you. You never, ever put your hand on my ass when I walk past anymore. And I used to like it that you did that sometimes. Obviously, that's not an example that works for everybody. Consent. But they feel invisible. And that's why lots of women do leave long relationships because they feel like that comfort has gone to bleh.
Can I ask for a specific example? So you've been with your partner for 30 years. That makes you what, in your 50s?
Yes.
Okay. What's an example of a moment of chalance that you imagine in your relationship 30 years down the track?
So we're at home and he's like, hey, I've just booked a table at your favorite restaurant. Let's just go out. Let's put on something nice. Let's just go out. We're out. He's holding my hand and he's standing on the side of the road. So if a car comes, he gets hit. Not me. I'm safe. And we're walking to the restaurant. He takes up my chair. I sit down. He goes, you look so beautiful tonight. And he says that in a loud voice. So the table's around us here.
Yeah.
And then he leans in for a kiss. And then I kiss him back. And then we eat. And then we kiss again. And then we walk home hand in hand.
I think that's fair.
So do I.
And I support her
it.
in her ambition.
I think what you heard in a lot of the Gen X derision that came your way is a little bitterness and a little judgment. Because one thing that people in long-term relationships get very defensive about is the idea that young people are looking at them in the restaurant and going, look at those saddos. They've barely looked at each other the whole time or touched each other the whole time. And you don't know what they're going through.
You don't.
I think it is fair enough to want somebody to touch you, look at you and say, I like you. Sabrina Carpenter, please take note. This should not be that level of excitement. That should be the base.
There have been a few stories that have tickled our fancy this week, and I want to talk about rawdogging. boredom.
Can we just get it on the table, friends, that raw dogging in this context does not mean anything a little bit seedy, a little bit inappropriate, because that's what we all think raw dogging means. But we have redefined it, and now it just means without distraction.
Without distraction, because it used to mean
having sex with
Having
boredom.
sex without a condom.
So I'm seeing this everywhere, seeing it on YouTube, on TikTok, and it's mostly people in their 20s practicing boredom. One productivity influencer, his name is Rowan. He recently filmed himself raw dogging boredom for an hour every day in an attempt to improve his attention span. So it is literally, it's watching a generation trying to work out what it feels like to disconnect, because they never have, right? And neuroscientists say boredom, critical for creative thinking, very, very good for us. Genuine question. Do young people think they have invented meditation? Because I just need it on the record that from 5000 BC, maybe before, people have been doing this.
I do think it's way too easy to go viral now. And I also wish I kind of did this first.
I know, because you don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. On behalf of young people, I do want to apologize, because I do think we can't make staring at a wall a challenge. We already got so much going on.
What I love,
we can't afford places to live. It's too much.
What I love about this is that you guys think that before there were smartphones, and I lived before there were smartphones, that's what we were all doing? Was just sitting around staring at walls?
We literally think it's gone like Ice Age and then smartphones.
And we're like, what did you do before smartphones? Oh, we didn't know what to do. We just sat at home and stared at the wall. Like, that's not what happened.
It's not what your grandmother did,
No,
I promise.
Anyway, go on.
However, I do regularly raw dog boredom. I just never called it that. But I remember it's been on the record when we did a subscriber episode on What Did You Do Yesterday.
Oh, that was a good one.
And
you
all,
had a really good Sunday.
We were all talking about what we did on Sunday. And mine was, I remember sitting in bed and just staring at a wall doing nothing. And I could have made a challenge out of it.
We should have filmed it.
Can you not read a book? Like, can people just
No,
not
because then you're
read a
doing
book?
something.
No, but I thought the point of this was to retrain yourself from the dopamine hit of technology, right? Because this isn't quite meditation. The video, because I'm getting served a lot of these videos, probably because, I'm always banging on about how I want to be able to meditate. It's been years now, and I still haven't got there. So I'm being served a lot of this. These people are not meditating. These people are tortured. The videos I'm served, they're like, there's a clock at the front and it's ticking down, and these people are sitting on the wall like looking like they're going cold turkey from some really hardcore drug. They're not meditating.
That is meditation.
Well, no, it's inside your head. It's meditation. Why can't they just
I think they
retrain themselves?
are.
Why can't they read a book?
That's their reaction. I saw a tweet that said scrolling on your phone is like a cigarette for the eyes.
Yes.
And I believe that.
Not
for
even
young
from the
people.
eyes, for your feelings, for
your
everything.
feelings.
And I was reading, so I totally agree with the detoxy bit. Like, put your phone in a drawer for an hour. I mean, do whatever you want to do if this is your thing. But you can detox from dopamine without staring at a wall. That's my point. Go for a walk.
No.
Go outside and go for a walk.
Yes.
Read something, listen to music, do something. Because aren't we supposed to be trying to decouple ourselves from the endless dopamine hit of new, more?
But isn't it interesting, right? Because I was thinking about this in the context of religion and religious institutions. Some of them have a few things to answer for. However, they had this covered not only with meditation, but with prayer, right? Like my nan prayed every day. And that was her moment of getting in touch with her inner monologue. And I've read things recently about how a lot of people don't know what their inner monologue sounds like anymore because of not just, there's the scrolling, but there's the music, there's a podcast, there's even books, right? Like it's all input. And so how do we just sit with no input for a moment?
I agree, obviously, and I love the idea that your nan would have called it that. I'm getting into what are you doing, Nan? I'm getting in touch with my inner monologue. That's what, when I'm folding, washing, or scrubbing the toilet, I'm just getting in touch with my inner monologue. That's what we'd be doing. But it's not that I'm comparing praying to scrubbing toilets. Let's just get that on the table.
No, I just compared it to raw dogging boredom.
I just want that on the table. But I think you're right about that. But I also think that there are different levels of input. You know what I mean? The thing that we have with our phones is, which we've talked about a lot, I'm having a bad feeling, must scroll, bored, must scroll, I'm, upset, tired, hungry, must scroll. And I read in a Substack recently they're saying this, like the definition of addiction is the only thing that will make me feel better about this thing that I'm addicted to is more of this thing that I'm addicted to. Like you just keep doing it. And so breaking that is great, but I don't
think it's being replaced.
Well, I don't think we should present as the choices of life is either being constantly on your phone or staring at a wall. Like there are a lot of other things to do there that will get you more in touch with yourself while not torturing yourself. Do you know what I mean?
You know, recently you spoke on the show about Famous Last Words and Jane Goodall, that documentary. I was watching that and listening to her talk about nature, and I had to check myself and go, 12 hours watching a gorilla. Like, it's a bit boring. And then I went listening to
how interesting can gorillas be, really?
But then she would explain what that gorilla did. And I was like, that is also the most profoundly interesting thing you could watch. And when I'd watched that, and then I was away recently and I was snorkeling and I watched this sea turtle eating grass, right? And this massive, and as you see it and you go, oh my God, it's a sea turtle. And then you're kind of floating there watching it and you're like, should I keep watching the sea turtle or try
is
and
it going to do anything else today?
Are you going to come up or go down or
kind of when you're in an art gallery, when I go to an art gallery, I judge I have to look at a piece of artwork and I only move away if someone else moves away because I don't want them to think I don't understand what's happening with the artwork.
It's like, how long do I have to engage?
How long did you hang with the turtle, Jessie? I do love a turtle.
I keep telling people that it was 25 minutes, but I reckon realistically it was 5. And I just floated there watching it and I went, this is actually pretty interesting. If you lock into it and watch it, float up and put its head up and all of that. And you go, it's just a different pace, right? And so that's what you're saying is that's the opposite to looking at a wall.
Yes.
But it's incredibly mindful and your inner monologue is going and it's peace, but it's a different kind of input.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're trying to fix, right?
Yeah.
I flew to Perth last week. And 5 hours from Sydney to Perth.
Yeah.
That I was sitting on the aisle and the man in the middle of the seats was a young man, very nice, smelt nice. That's what I always like that if someone's going to sit that close to me. It smelt good. He raw dogged the whole flight. He didn't have a book. He didn't have a phone. He didn't watch anything. He just sat there and occasionally put his head down on the table, on his arms, as if to have a little nap. And I was obsessed with him. What was he doing?
Okay, Holly.
And should I have asked him?
I've kind of started doing this because I can't keep
5 hours?
I can't keep my eyes open if I'm still now because I'm just tired. I'm tired all the time. And I got on my flight 2.5 hours and I kind of put my head back. I knew I wasn't going to fall asleep, but I just had my eyes closed. I love the places I go. I just really, I half daydream and then I think about, I feel very refreshed when I open my eyes
so
again.
So you're saying that the man next to me had a very rich inner life?
Yes,
and he was
exactly
just there
frolicking
in his mind garden.
And if you asked him, you would have pulled him out of it.
And even when they came and said, do you want a cup of tea? Do you want nah, didn't want anything. He was just himself.
Raw dogging.
You probably would have tried to pick him up. You would have, he wasn't really.
I'd be like, are you a chalant man?
He sounds chalant.
He does sound chalant. So there is a new fitness craze that has taken over my life and I actually feel like I'm going crazy. I have been seeing on my Instagram, on my TikTok, on my dating apps, the specific type of photo, different variations of the specific type of photo. And this photo usually includes 2 men, both really good looking, both with abs, both sweating a bit. They have their shirts off and they're standing hand in hand in front of this big TV that has a time stamp on it. So 1 hour, 16 minutes. And this is a new type of fitness workout. It is called Hyrox, which is an abbreviation for Hybrid Rockstars. I found out recently.
I prefer the abbreviation to the meaning, yes.
This thing, and now that I've said it, I feel like you'll see it all over your Instagram as well. It is a massive global competition where people can take part in and they compete in this big circuit that includes an 8K run that's split up in between workout stations. So, for example, you would do a run for 1K and then you'll do like a sled push and then you run another K and then you do something else. So it's like this big kind of course that they do, and they host these massive events in different countries, and it's now been a huge global thing.
So apparently it's gained popularity because you know how there's run clubs?
Yeah.
But a lot of those people don't want to run marathons. And there's also strength training. But those people don't necessarily want to compete at CrossFit. You know, they have those mad CrossFit
like
competitions.
CrossFit. Is it like CrossFit?
More accessible. So the thing about CrossFit is that when it gets to the competition level, like it's really, really hard. My friends who do this say anyone can do it. I say that, I can't do it. But a lot of it that like pushing something or rowing, like if you practice and practice, you can get good at that. It's not like as skills based as some of the other challenges.
It's like endurance.
It's for it markets itself as for anybody.
Yeah.
And are you telling me that men are putting their pictures of their buff bodies with their time behind them on their dating profiles?
Mm-hmm. And
is that hot? Do you find it hot?
I thought it was kind of like a joke thing. So then I sent it to a group of my friends, and I was like, are you guys seeing this? And this is like a group of friends that's like both men and women. And I was like, are you seeing this? And a lot of the women were like, what the hell's going on? All the men were like, I can't believe he did that in that short of a time.
Do women do Hyrox too?
Women do Hyrox too. But the reason I found out about Hyrox was because there was a scandal at the Sydney Hyrox event.
Oh, tell me.
This is what happened. I've got a little video.
That guy's missus just fainted and like full hit the deck. She's unresponsive and he just kept doing the wall balls and then crossed the line by himself. He's left her there. There's a fucking... And he's just left her there. What a piece of shit.
Speaking of Chalance,
can we just talk about the ambience of this whole video?
The doof.
It made me want to row.
It's all, people don't go to raves anymore, right? So they go do this instead.
They go do this.
Less ecstasy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Chalance, if your girlfriend is unconscious in any context, we stop our race. Can we all agree?
You don't just stop your race. You pick her up like she's a princess and you continue on.
Sabrina Carpenter needs to write a song about that.
It should be part of our etiquette guide that we've been putting together.
Should. Come on. Actually, we should totally do one for how to be a Chalance man, and then everyone can pass angrily, like tag people in it. Anyway, we digress. So what happened? A woman collapsed.
A woman collapsed at the Sydney Hyrox event. She was doing it with her partner. So allegedly she collapsed. And then he was checking in on her. And then what it looked like from spectators was that she was on the floor. People had to come help her, and he just continued doing it.
And he asked, this is the allegation that he did ask, do I need her to finish it? And they were like, no. And so he kept going. And then a lot of comments were like, well, what could he do? There were paramedics. They would have asked him to stay out of the way.
It's like, check.
And then it's just Pitbull in the background.
Doof. Come on, Dal, you'll be all right.
A lot of women were commenting going, the first question I'd ask when I came to was, did you finish and what was your time? And I was like, we are living
your first question?
What is wrong with people? All right, I think if this is on the dating app, this is red flag.
You think it's a red flag?
Well, I have a thing about like guys with really intense hobbies, and this level of like working out, great, like look after yourself, great, and everything. But if that's on your dating app, what you're telling me is I'm not going to see you very often because you are going to be at the gym a lot.
No, you're wrong. You know why you're wrong?
Unless you're both into it.
No, Holly. He's inevitably going to get injured. He's going to do his ACL, which is 6 to 12 months. There is nothing more chalant than a man who needs you to help him walk down the stairs.
Oh, my God.
All right. I want to do that.
You're so right. So, okay, well, that's another red flag. So, you're never going to see him, and then you're going to see him way too much because you're going to be being his nursemaid.
Exactly.
Do you think, this is one of the things I'm interested in. When I was listening to This Is Why We Fight, you know, the new Mamamia podcast that's like couples counselling. It's so good.
Utterly obsessed.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So the first episode, it had this couple, and we could go on about them for a week, but let's not. So David is a musician. So being a musician at the level that he's doing it involves going out at night. Jess does not like going out at night. Hanging around in nightclubs with lots of sexy, interesting people. He had not shown himself to be very sensitive to how that made Jess feel very insecure. So she didn't like going to nightclubs and being, around sexy, interesting people because she thought he liked them a bit too much. Also, it means that this is his number one thing, being a musician, and she didn't seem interested in seeing him be a musician at all. So here's a problem. If you fall in love with someone who has like a mad hobby or passion or shobby or whatever we want to call it, and you feel yourself to be in competition with it, it's always going to be a problem. Is that true?
I think because why I don't really see it as a red flag was because they're putting it on their dating profile. So if I swipe right, I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know I'm going to get a
guy,
a really attractive man who's at the gym 24/7. I think I take issue with it if that's not on his dating profile and then he starts becoming a hybrid rock star like 2 months into us dating, and that changes the whole dynamic. I feel like, and I never thought I'd ever say this, but I feel like if you're going to take on an intense hobby and you're in a relationship and that hobby is going to take up most, like 80% of your life, that needs to be a conversation before you take it on.
Or, but also, if you're already doing it at the beginning, you need to think about that, because the problem is if you go, oh, this is cute, but then everything changes a few months in and you're like, hold on, why are you always doing this on a Saturday morning? And he's like, well, I've always done this on a Saturday morning. Either you need to have your own either maybe you like doing the same thing, or you love having that time to do your own thing. But if it makes you insecure or leaves you all alone with kids for hours, problem. Jessie, do you think?
Or unconscious on the floor.
Or unconscious on the floor. Do you think?
Look, there's terms like golf widow and like someone who loses their husband to golf, or like
cycling widow, triathlete widow. Like there's a lot of stories.
I'd rather say that than be a hybrid rock star widow.
But like and this happens a lot to middle-aged dudes. They'll suddenly become obsessed with the lycra and the cycling and stuff. And it's great because fitness, because activity, because socializing with other people. But if it takes you away for 5 hours every day.
Oh, look, it's just interesting who has the time for a hobby that takes up 20 hours of your week is what I'll say, because I'm just not seeing a lot of women going, hey, I now play golf for 8 hours on a Saturday and a Sunday and also on Wednesday afternoons. I just don't see it.
Do you think that Dave and Jess should broke up?
That is an off-mic conversation.
I have to get something off my chest about Halloween, 31st of October. We're not going to have one of those conversations about whether it's American or not. It's done. It's here. Deal with it. All right?
I agree.
Deal with it, everybody. But your relationship with this event is entirely dependent on your life stage, right? Because you're either not really aware of it at all, or when you're young and carefree, it just means a piss-up costume party, which is always fun, right? People like that. Apparently this year, very popular costumes for grown-ups, K-pop demon hunters, the Louvre heisters.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So black light cat burglar with dripping diamonds. Yeah. That's big.
And a high-vis vest.
Yeah. Travis and Taylor. Also big. I wonder if we're not going to see a late surge in Lily Allen, David Harbour costumes.
Oh, I
really?
like that.
I'd go as their house.
Like really patterned wallpaper. I love it. So there's that phase of your life, right? Then there's the little kids, which is pumpkin outfits and trying to avoid them being traumatized every time they go to Bunnings or anywhere like that.
Is Halloween big for kids?
Oh, huge.
Really?
Huge.
It wasn't big when I was a kid.
Getting huger all the time. Oh. But actually, I read a piece in the Herald this week. I'd love to know what you think about this, Jessie, because this is your life stage. From a writer called Cherry Gilmore, complaining about the fact that you can't escape Halloween at the minute. So if you do go to Bunnings, there's like a blood dripping zombie at the door. You go into Spotlight and there's death with the scythe, like going, come on in. And how little kids get traumatized, and that's really hard for parents. So there's actually a big petition being circulated about pulling that in. What are your thoughts about that stage?
There is walking down the street with a 2-year-old at 10 a.m. and there's a dead body on a lawn. It's such a hard thing to explain. And then there's like a decapitated man holding his own head or whatever, and you're like, that man's bleeding from the arteries in his neck that they've lost. Or like,
it's time for a biology lesson.
Like there's skeleton heads, and it's like, that's what we call a decomposing body. Can you say, like, and then Luna looks at it. The other day there was a spider bigger than me, right? Yeah. Spider bigger than Mummy. And she's like, scary spider. And I was like, it's funny. And I was like, how?
It's a whole thing. So there's that phase of your life where
you're
just raging against the horror.
Petition to what? Stop Halloween?
Well, no, it's more. I'll tell you what they want. It says
mums need hobbies too. And have some space.
So Good. Mum's made hobbies too. Protect children from distressing Halloween displays in shopping centres. One petitioner wrote, we wouldn't let our children be exposed to horror films at a young age, but placing them at the front of the store, you're taking away the choice of exposure, blah, blah. The idea is that you should know that you're stepping into scary space. So there's that whole era of being outraged by Halloween. And then there's the primary school era, kids and tweens, which is like lots of scary, cute dress-ups and fake blood and stuff. I have tipped now into the teen parenting era of Halloween, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but suddenly it's sexy princesses, sexy firemen, sexy witch, sexy cat, everything's sexy. And you're suddenly like, oh, we're here, are we? Now, personally, I find Halloween hell because I'm on the record as saying I hate costume parties, hate dress-ups, and that this is like the national holiday for people who love it. But has it become compulsory, you guys?
I think it's about whether or not you're single, because it's not just the teen girls, it's the divorced, like
that's true
40-year-olds who are like, it is time for me to relaunch my breasts, and you don't get a lot of opportunities to do that. So you go as Christina Aguilera from the Dirty film clip, which like I guess it's scary, but it's also mostly hot, and I appreciate that. Emma, you going hot this year?
I'm going semi-hot. I'm going to a party on the weekend and I'm going as Doechii, the rapper who won a Grammy.
Yeah.
And she wears like a lot of like mix of like sexy outfits but also really fun, grungy, like big office suits. And I'm going as a fun, grungy, big office suit.
Is there a little bit of sexy going on?
There's a little bit of sexy, but I get really – I'm at that age where, yes, I'm single, but I'm also at that age where it's kind of like try hard if you go a bit too sexy.
Yeah.
Like you're meant to have fun with it and be like cool. And I was in a conversation with two friends and they were talking about how one day one of the friends went as Ursula from Little Mermaid and like really like tentacles everywhere, like went overboard. And then the other friend was like, but it was fine because she was in a relationship.
Yeah. She wasn't trying to find anyone.
Yeah, she wasn't trying. So it was fine. She could do that.
I think a lot of this is summed up by an excellent Substack quote that I saw by Claire Zulke. And she said, a young lady becomes a woman the Halloween she stops dressing up as a sexy something and starts dressing as an unattractive man.
It's so true.
Maybe like a jewel thief.
Em, I want to hear your reco first, please.
Okay. A movie just dropped on Netflix last week. It is called A House of Dynamite, and I need you both to watch it immediately because I need to talk about it.
What genre?
It is like drama thriller.
Suspense, right?
Suspense.
Idris Elba.
Yeah. Idris Elba, Caitlin Dever, who played Belle Gibson.
Yeah.
And also Rebecca Ferguson. Really good cast. So the whole idea of the movie is a missile is coming to the USA. And the president and his like government friends have to stop it.
I've seen this movie before. Armageddon. And I don't want to miss a thing.
But I love this movie.
Yeah,
like,
they've made this movie many times.
Oh, I could watch the movie 100 times.
No.
Okay.
This movie is the most intense thing I've ever watched. Okay, I need to explain it. It's in 3 parts, and the whole movie is about how the president and all these government officials are on this big call to figure out how to stop this missile from coming to the US. And each part shows the different perspective from each person on that call.
Ooh.
It is
smart.
so intense. I saw an article on Slate and the headline, because I immediately researched everything about this movie afterwards, and the headline was, I've been reporting on nuclear war for decades and no movie has shaken me more like this one.
Oh, I saw that and I wondered what movie it was about.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So we have, and now this is the facts, right? We have put $500 billion into these devices called GBIs, which stand for ground-based interceptors, that are meant to like intercept a missile if they were coming into your country. Yep. $500 billion. These interceptors only have a 61% success rate. And that's what that whole movie is about. It's not like action-y, like you don't see any like crazy things happen, but it's all about the tense moment of how are they going to stop this missile.
This does not sound relaxing.
It's not relaxing at all.
Very stress-inducing, but I do enjoy that sometimes.
Yeah, and it ends in a way that's not going to make you satisfied.
Ooh, oh, don't tell me how it ends.
I didn't.
How's my mate Idris?
So hot.
Oh, I love him.
And so
Okay,
good.
I'm so into that, and I'm going to tack on another reco onto that, which is I just finished the latest season of The Diplomat.
Ooh, I do love that show.
And in terms of nuclear warfare, like that kind of comes up as a bit of a theme. Again, brilliant. Again, cliffhanger, which just makes me need to watch the next season.
Also very satisfying this season. I've started watching it for people who used to watch The West Wing, because CJ Craig is the former vice president of the US and her husband is Josh. Josh from The West. If you don't watch The West Wing, you don't know what I'm talking about.
From The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so seeing them together on screen again, you should know who Josh is because he's the patron saint of wearing a backpack, and you always wear a little backpack. Josh wore a backpack. Anyway, I digress. Only West Wing people are interested in anything coming out of my mouth. Now stop talking, Holly.
The Diplomat's brilliant. It's so good.
I love Diplomat.
But this is my other recommendation for this week. When I was away, my Claire, my sister sent me this.
Your Claire.
My Claire sent me this and said, this is maybe the best interview I've listened to. And it was Louis Tomlinson.
From One Direction.
From One Direction on Diary of a CEO. And I was like, nothing about this would necessarily interest me. I'm not a mad One Directioner. I'm quite agnostic. And lots of love to Louis, but is he among the top 3 most famous One Directioners?
He's not Harry Styles.
He's not Harry Styles, let's just say that. Now, I knew...
Mind you, Harry Styles doesn't do this kind of thing. I wonder if he will when he does his next album.
With Zoe Kravitz, maybe.
Yeah. And I didn't know a lot about him, which was what made this interview so great. So it covers a few things. The one massive thing is sort of the relaunch of his career. When he was 24, One Direction split. And he went from doing Wembley Stadium to 90,000 people to these tiny events with 2,000. And he would cover songs from One Direction. And it literally, in the period of a few years, he'd gone from 90,000 to singing the same song, looking out to no one.
Brutal.
I didn't realize they were that young.
It's a bit like the Spice Girls. Like
that. And I guess you forget like how hard they continue to try. And he's going, I knew at 24 that the heights of my career were behind me. How do you then reassess what success looks like? So that was one part, but the most interesting part was his discussions around grief. And I won't go into it, but I did not realize that at 33 he had experienced so much loss. And there's this bit where he says, you know, you kick your toe and your response to that is so irrational. Like you kick your toe and you just go, of course I've kicked my toe. Of course this would happen to me. And he got in this state of mind of just like the world was against him because all these bad things kept happening. And he talks about how he got out of that. And also lots of different experiences with people who died who he felt it was his job to look after and the guilt he carries. He's so articulate and insightful. It is a brilliant interview. Holly, what have you got?
I've got a life hack because, you know, I'm a guru. Who knows everything. If only I could meditate.
How's Duolingo going?
Exactly. My little owl is really mad with me. He just keeps emailing me like, what does it take? Anyway, we talked last week actually about Nup. We talked about how it was time to remember that the year isn't over and you can. It's still time to hold on to your Nup. Like Nup energy being kind of, I don't have to do all these things everybody wants me to do. I'm going to protect my peace, etc. And how I'm shit at it. Anyway, I found a new strategy that a very smart woman who you probably know, Jessie, Amantha Imber. She's like a productivity guru. I've had her on Mid before and I did her podcast. I think you've done it before. Yeah. It's called How I Work. She does a podcast called How I Work and it's all about work and productivity and stuff. And I did that recently. And when I was talking to her and telling her about my massive failures with Nup in terms of like saying no to things and managing your time, she said, I've got a strategy for you. It's for people who can't say no. It's called the yes, but strategy. So the idea is instead of a no or even a Nup, you give them a boundaried yes, right? Here are some examples. So yes, I can host that birthday for your sister, but I can't do the food. So everyone needs to bring a plate. Yes, I can travel in to come to that in-person meeting, but if I absolutely can't dial in, it needs to be on this day at around this time. Yes, I can organise the costumes for the end of year dance party, but I can't make them. So I'll be buying them from this big box store. Here's how you transfer money. So it's a yes, but rather than a no. So you can do a thing and not close yourself off from things you want to do or are helpful or community building. Because you know how we talk about how often at the minute we're all getting so boundaried that we kind of cut ourselves off from anything.
Yeah.
When really we can just ask for what we want. So like, yes, I will do that, but it has to be X, Y, Z. For me, it blew my mind.
And I feel more comfortable with that because I feel like I've given them what they wanted. And then it's like more of a negotiation.
Yeah.
I've never considered that I could kind of do that because often it's the lack of boundaries in the aftermath that's what makes it so
that make it
uncomfortable.
crazy because you say, yes, I'll host Melissa's birthday party. And then suddenly you're responsible for the guest list and the drinks and the this and the this and the this. But somebody's got to host Melissa's birthday party or she doesn't get it, right? And I guess in a professional sense, and I mean, I said this in the interview, but you're really lucky and privileged if you're in a position in your life where people are coming at you and asking you for things. Very often it's because your career's doing well or whatever.
Oh, because you always say yes.
Yeah, or because you always say yes. But also if you say yes, but this is what I need, then one of two things will happen after that. Either that won't work and it's a no. So that's fine, right? So like if somebody says, can you come and do this event for me? And I say, yes, but it'll have to be a Tuesday night. And they're like, it can't be. Then it's a no, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll go, yeah, I can make it a Tuesday night. And you're surprised that that your needs were. And I remember when I interviewed Julie Goodwin ages ago from MasterChef, she said this. She said when her mental health was in the toilet and she was like, but I don't want to give up my work and all the things that I love doing. She's like, but I need to make some changes. She said, you will be amazed how many times when you ask people for what you need and you're like tying yourself up about it, as women do, going like, oh, I sound like a diva, or I sound like I'm ungrateful, I sound like I'm a terrible person. People just go, okay, sure. And then you're like, oh. And that's the yes, but strategy.
Oh,
Is it helpful?
I like that a lot.
Good. I'm glad to be of service.
I just say no.
She's a boundary, Gen Z. I love it.
Em, read us out.
A big thank you to our team, our group executive producer, Ruth Devine, our executive producer, Sasha Tannick, our senior audio producer is Leah Porges, our video producer is Josh Green, and our junior content producer is Tessa Kotovich.
Bye.
Bye.